With you being a producer at the core, talk to us about all the projects you've produced for over the years.
So my original base coming into this industry is being a producer. So as I got busy, I was less creative. Every time I had a little break, I go to Arizona, certain places, lock out, just create. So I have a few beats for each year. So I will have placements: one on Banks album, one on Buck album, two on Banks album, one on Yayo album, one on Fifth, one on the soundtrack, and then I'll have my other crew surrounding that. So that's how I planted the seeds. But after I started slowing down and not being the president no more, I started wanting to create and do things for other people. Therefore comes the Busta Rhymes Stevie Wonder record, one of my biggest records where Stevie Wonder is not singing on no hip hop at all. But here, Busta Rhymes get him on a hook. The hook is a classic. The song is a classic. Busta, what he talking about is the whole Dre coming in, mixing it, adding the orchestra to it, being able to work with Dre on that level, being my name standing next to Dre on credits, you know what I'm saying? My name standing next to M. And then we get into points where it's like, all right, yo, Snoop Dogg, you know what I'm saying? I produced with Snoop on 2 albums, you know what I mean? And then we continue to work. I will go to Tampa, meet him here on the road, work with him. Got this record with him and Jeezy that never came out. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got records with Snoop, more than one, more like 3 records, 4 records, and then we kept creating DPG unit, and then we went even further, and I'm like working with Dre again. He had this new artist, Slim the Mobster, so I'm in the studio with Dre doing some that for some Cali and bit back vibing with Dre like I love to, and then it just goes from West Coast and then it goes back to the South. I get Crit, I get 2 Chainz, and then I'm working with Mac Miller. That was one of the best studio sessions as a producer. This is not A&R. This is just me sitting in the studio after Kelly and Chris hit me up, shout out to them, and was like, Mac, they manage him now. Sha, I heard you live in Cali. I'm in Malibu. He's like right there. I'm like, yo, tell me, I'll go pull up. I'll go to his crib, bring my computer, and 100 grandkids. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest classics. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, other records I did co-production with, half production, records with other producers, Magic Stick, you know what I mean? All the records that became, that was my core, you know what I mean? And producing, then I just wanted to keep going. So I just kept going. Tupac, I got a call from his estate and they loved everything I was doing with G Unit. And I was still in G Unit at this time and I was actually exiting. And the head lady of the trust, she came with security, she came with an engineer, everything. We locked in the studio. I was there for one day just to make like 1 or 2 records. She loved how I worked, got done. I ended up doing 5 records on one of Tupac's biggest selling albums. It's one of the biggest blessings for my career. You know what I'm saying? And then it just kept going. Juvenile. I went back to Juvenile. Did title track to his album. Juvenile's the Great. You know what I'm saying? With my boy. You know what I mean? So it's like Black Jerus, Chad. I had other people I created with that brought to the table, and we was able to just spread it out, man. And that's what I love doing as a creative to this day, and that's what I still do. And that's my passion is making music. More than anything, the industry sucks, the business, the people, they change, all of that. But I'm always make music. That's not going to stop.
Now let's talk about the other side of things, and that's your role as an executive to different record labels and helping artists' careers.
2007, after that call with Fifth, I kept managing Buck, tried to keep my relationship, even though me and Fifth parted ways in the deal. I still had to deal with him for Buck because Buck still wanted me to manage him. But Banks and Yayo, they kind of like, nah, we got to run with the big homie, so they kind of had to cut me off. That's where, people had to choose sides, and I started seeing, this ain't friendship, this is still business, you know what I mean? And even though they was a family, niggas heartbroken, like, this is the fan, but they had to cut some ties on certain because Fifth one was with it, they couldn't with it, so we had to, that caused a little tension, but, I had to just accept it, right? So, I continued to manage Buck, and then, even Buck had his situation with Fifth. I was the one that was the mediator between that. Fortunately, Fifth recorded it. You know what I mean? Because that was the day I heard Buck crying, and Buck told me when he came out of the car, because we was in the studio, he was like, yo, Fifth was crying on the phone. I said, yo, Fifth don't cry, bro. What the you mean Fifth crying? He said, yo, Fifth cried on the phone to me, bro. I'm like, yo, Fifth don't cry, bro. What do you talk? I'm happy he recorded that because that is him crying. You know what I'm saying? But he came and told me like, yo, but we good now. I'm like, you cried to this, bro. Fuck out of here, bro. So that shit happened like that. But hey, I still was able to communicate with son, right? But then after a while, he get on his and then you just had to fall back. Eventually, I came back and did before I self destruct, thanks to Paul and Dr. Dre, who wanted me to come back and do what I do and work with them. And we tried that again. We did that, but it wasn't me as an exec or nothing like that. Just coming back, supplying the music and being there to help them get these songs done, which we did. So after that, I was like, all right, what's next? Because I love this exec. Like I love signing artists. I love finding talent. I love letting the world know I know something's hotter before you. And by the time you know, it's going to be 2 years later, probably three, and then you're going to be like, oh, you was right. But I got to keep doing this because y'all don't know. But we going to do this. So where can I do this? So, coincidentally, even on some respect, shout out to KP, Kawan Prowler. He was like in a room with L.A. Reid. They were working at Def Jam. Rest in peace, Shakir. He passed away, and it was like time when they were trying to figure out some new things to do at Def Jam. And LA was looking for more execs, and more so not guys he all knew. And KP had mentioned me at the table, and then him and Al Branch called me and said, you know what I'm saying, you should, come meet with L.A. Reid. And that's when everyone knew that I parted ways with G Unit. And I said, hell yeah, I'll do that. So I was living in Arizona. I came to New York, and I called Chris Lighty. It's like, yo, I got a meeting with L.A. Reid. Can you come? Just so you could co-sign me with him, so he know I'm, you know what I mean? Chris was an OG, so he came. And we sat in a room, me, L.A. Reid, and Chris. Chris shouted me out, gave me the blessing. L.A. Reid with me, and he hired me to be senior vice president A&R for Def Jam. That's how that shit happened. Word up. Shout out to L.A. Reid. Rest in peace, Chris Lighty. Thank you, bro. Word up.
If you want to see this full interview without having to wait, you can join our YouTube memberships program for just $8 a month. You get the full interview, behind the scenes footage, and no ads. If you want more, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/diverse mentality. And for $10 a month, you can not only get these full interviews immediately, but also get uncut and ad-free documentaries as well. The link is in the description for both. For those of you that don't know, this Shaw Money XL interview is from my 2023 Get Rich or Die Trying documentary, where I go around interviewing producers and engineers that worked on that album for the making of the process of that album. So check out that documentary in the description below.